Welcome back to the Becoming Reborn podcast. Sorry, guys, no Travis today. Travis is off in China, but you have myself here, Paddy, and I'm joined by my man, D-Wags. Welcome, D.
Always good to be here, Paddy.
So today, guys, we are talking about injuries and I guess serious and long-term injuries and mindset around that. And I guess some tips and strategies on how you can manage that physically and mentally. And the reason I got my boy D-Wags with me is because, unfortunately, a few weeks ago, D-Wags got injured. So we're going to get to that in a sec.
Yeah.
But D-Wags, take me back a bit. Just tell me quickly about your kind of history in terms of playing sport and exercise generally.
Always played sport, mate. Grew up playing footy. Although I will say when I was young, I had one game of rugby league when I was in under sixes, ran off the field crying, didn't come back till under 10s or under 11s. So I started sport a little bit later in life, but once I went back, it was all about footy. Anything with an oval shaped ball, I was playing it.
Love that.
Yeah.
So played rugby league growing up. When did you stop playing?
I had a relatively short career. I retired from footy when I was 18.
Yep.
And speaking of injuries, it was too many shoulder injuries.
Oh,
Yeah.
using those big boulders, knocking blokes' heads
I
off.
just used to try and put people in hospital every tackle.
Love that. Fitting given what happened.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then, so you retired at 18 and you are 37 now?
37,
37 now. So
A youthful 37.
a youthful 37. Nice. Over the last 18 years then, Wags, having not played rugby league, was there any competitive sport in there? And if not, what has your exercise looked like?
Yeah, I mean, I played competitive touch footy at a relatively high level for a number of years, probably till I was about 27, 28. And yeah, so I mean, yeah, still playing footy to some degree. Obviously just a different type of footy. But then along the way there, I got into long distance running, and then that has pretty much just been my main focus and the thing that I really enjoyed and that scratched that competitive itch ever since.
Yep. Cool. And then sometime last year, when you started working here at Reborn, Big Paddy came up with an amazing idea that you should come and join us for League Tag, over 35s League Tag for the mighty Aquinas Colts. Shout out to the Colts fans out there. And, you know, just as a bit of a social thing, but also a physical outlet for you to play competitive sport again, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you threw me a jersey last year in the reception area and asked me to play last season.
Sure did.
But was dealing with a bit of plantar fasciitis on my right foot, and running was just not in the picture for me at the time. But I wanted to. Like, my answer immediately was yes, I want to play. So when the opportunity came up this season to go and play with you guys, knowing that I was injury free, I absolutely jumped at it, and tell you what, I am glad that I did, believe it or not.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then round one, back at the stables at Blacksland, we received the ball off the kickoff. D-Wags playing 6, work into the set. First touch, D-Wags gets it about 15 out, bang right foot, bang another right foot, scores under the post. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
start to the season.
Yeah, very good start.
And
to
that
the
first
season.
week, round one, was really enjoyable playing with you, D-Wags.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Then round 2, again, back at Blacksland. Great start. We're playing the reigning premiers, and we are up
Under
at
lights.
half-time. Under lights. I had a little calf niggle, so I was running the water, unfortunately. Then D-Wags, tell us what happened.
So 40 minutes into a 50-minute game, I was warm, playing well.
You were
Scored
playing
another try.
Yep, I was going to bring that up. Well done.
But more than anything, I was actually just having a blast. Like, for the first 2 games back playing footy in about 10 years, just getting the footy in my hands and being on a rugby league field, a full-size rugby league field with my mates, and having, again, that competitive outlet. I was just having an absolute blast. But, yeah, 10 minutes to go. There was a bit of a slow play the ball. I had a bloke set on my inside, ISO, and then I had Trav set on my outside with a couple of other guys. Caught the ball off the ruck, dummied to my left, and went to take off to my right. And I got about 3 steps in, and my first thought was that ISO had tripped me up and kicked my foot.
You kicked the back of your leg.
That's
right?
what it felt like, and that's to me what it sounded like, 2 boots colliding. And when I hit the deck, my first reaction was to turn around and see what the hell Izo was doing.
Spray Izo for
Yeah, and
kicking you.
absolutely spray him. And he was nowhere to be seen. And as soon as I hit the deck and turned around and saw that he wasn't there, I knew immediately what I'd done.
And I ran on with the water bottle because I saw you hit the deck. And when I got to you, I thought, because I saw there was no one around you, I thought that maybe you'd done a calf. And the first thing I said to you was, Wags, was it your calf? And you said, I think it was my Achilles. And I went, oh no. And I've seen Achilles ruptures before, and my first thing was I know that there's a sound and an impact. It feels like you've been kicked. And I said, what did it feel like? And you said, I thought Izo kicked me. And I thought, not a good sign. And then I said, did you hear anything? And Trav was 5 or 6 meters to the right, and Trav said, Paddy, I heard it. It sounded like something hit him. And both of those things, I'm far from a doctor, but both those things I thought, ooh.
Big red flags.
Big red flags. This isn't looking good, but I didn't want to get too carried away and, get you worked up too much. But from the sounds of it, you knew.
I knew straight away.
And what was the diagnosis?
Yeah, so as I said, I knew straight away that it was a complete rupture. I knew that it wasn't just a slight tear. The way it sounded, what it felt like, and just the action of how it all went down, I knew immediately that it was a full rupture. So my first thought was, okay, what's the thing I need to do immediately? Obviously get ice on it.
Yep.
But the next thing was like, all right, now I need to manage what I do in these very early stages of such a significant injury. So
you're already going into rehab mode.
Already going into
what can I do
protection
to make this better?
And how can I make this a smooth process where I'm doing the right thing immediately? Not sitting around having beers, having alcohol, not sitting around and wondering, should I go to the doc? Should I go and do this? I knew immediately what I was and wasn't going to do.
That's very rare. And you were very, I've been around a lot of guys that have seriously injured themselves and been there myself. And you had an incredible amount of clarity. You were just very, there was no emotion around it. There was no carrying on because of pain. It was like, yep. Pretty sure I've ruptured my Achilles. Yeah. We'll get scans on it, but here's what I need to do. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Which is unheard of.
I don't know why. I guess, panic doesn't do any good to anyone. And for me, it was just like, okay, I know this is a very significant injury. The Achilles is not, it's probably one of the worst injuries you can do in terms of lower limbs, mobility. Like you'd almost rather break a bone than do something like a tendon.
Which is, it's a good 9 to 12 month full recovery.
Yeah. It's a long, long road.
Which is probably even more than an ACL, which is probably the worst knee injury you can do.
100%. And you think about how thick the Achilles tendon is. Like you reach down and grab that, and you think to completely snap that.
Grab your Achilles, right?
Yeah. You'd think that, it definitely was painful, but it wasn't as painful as what I would imagine it would be if I hadn't done it and thought, oh yeah, that would really hurt. It was just like this dull ache, and there was some referred pain right up in the belly of my calf.
Ooh.
That's also how I knew that I'd done a complete rupture. Yeah. But yeah, I just knew. I was like, well, okay, I know this is completely ruptured. I don't need a doctor at a hospital to tell me that. I just knew it was.
So no point going to the ED and sitting there on a Sunday afternoon for 4 hours waiting to get seen?
No, I drove myself home. So it was my left foot, left Achilles, not my right. So
Thank God.
I drove myself to back to my in-laws' place.
Yep. Which
is where Eden and I were staying that night. I rang a mate of mine who is the physio for the Sharks and said, Benny, this is what I've done. And there's a test you can do called the Thompson test, where you lay face down with your foot hanging over the edge of a bench or a bed, and you get someone to just squeeze your calf. And if there's no movement in your foot in plantar flexion, so your foot pointing down, no reaction with the calf squeeze, it's a complete rupture.
So when you squeeze the calf, normally your foot
will plantar flex, it'll point down.
Yeah.
And so there was zero movement at all. So the next morning, I was in clinic with Benny at Physio Focus.
Shout out to Benny.
He was great. I think he was actually in Fiji out to dinner with with the boys who were playing at a game over there, the Jersey Flag boys. Anyway, he gave me the time to tell me what he thought I should do. But I was booked into physio the next morning at like less than 12 hours later. Then that afternoon at 2:30, I was in the surgeon's office getting advice on what he thought I should do.
Nice.
The following night, I was fortunately had a connection at IMED in Miranda and was getting MRIs the Tuesday night. So like 48 hours later, I'd been to physio, got a boot, seen the surgeon, got his advice, and then got MRI scans and had results on the Wednesday.
Love that.
And then was booked in for surgery the Wednesday after.
Great job.
Yeah.
Now tell me, when it immediately happened, you mentioned that you were like, all right, I got to get ice on it, got to immobilize it, blah, blah, blah. What were your initial thoughts around like, shit, I'm not going to be able to be playing league tag for the rest of the year. I'm not going to be able to run, which I know is a huge thing for you. I'm going to lose fitness. I'm going to put on weight. I'm going to be out of the routine. What am I doing for work? Like, because these things can be extremely damaging to your mental state.
100%. And it's interesting. I was actually just chatting to you before you got in here. All of the things that you would think would go through someone's mind, like myself, and all the things I love to do, it was actually the opposite. So rather than the first immediate thought was, fuck, I'm not going to be able to play league tag for the rest of the season.
Filthy.
And that's just goes to show how much fun I was having being back with the footy in my hands, playing, with you week 1, with Trav week 2, and obviously looking forward to playing with both of you guys together on the footy field, that is.
Yep.
And the first thought was, I'm not going to be able to play league tag for the rest of the season. But then after that, I was starting to think, okay, I know that this is significant. What am I going to be able to do? I'm going to be able to do upper body weights. I'm going to be able to do some off-feet conditioning like ski erg, seated. I just started thinking about all the things I can do to keep me engaged and moving forward. And I knew that once I knew I was booked in for surgery, I knew there was going to be a period where, okay, I'm going to have rehab. So I'm going to have milestones that I'm going to have to hit with my rehab. Work, I knew that I do a lot of stuff in the back end and admin wise here. I knew that it was only going to affect my coaching face to face for a period in time until I can actually walk around unassisted with crutches or the mobility scooter. So I knew that there was going to be a period in time where it was impacted to somewhat, but my mindset was, well, I know that I can still do this and I know that I can still do that. And I was again saying to you before you got in here, I'm the type of person that if I have a path that highlights progression opportunities, I'm sweet. It's when I don't have anything to work towards and I feel like I have no purpose, that's when I start to go a bit insane.
So we're touching on some gold in that little spiel you gave there, Wags, around, first of all, the first thing I noticed there was your mindset around not, shit, what can't I do? You had a little bit of that in that you couldn't play league tag, right? But instead of you dwelling on, shit, I'm not going to be able to do this is going to impact this, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, your focus immediately turned to, what can I do? And I remember we've got our OKR system in the gym where we have goals, and all of us trainers have them and we go through them every Monday. And one of them is always a physical goal. And Wags had some physical goals on what he wanted to achieve that immediately got thrown out the window. The next Monday, when we had our Monday meeting, Wags has completely shifted his goals and he's got a bench press goal and a pull-up goal straight off the bat because they're the things that he can do. So I think that is a huge underrated mindset shift that you immediately went through, that I think anyone out there that does have a major injury is not to think about what you can't do, think about what you can do.
Yeah.
And your immediate thoughts were also around, okay, what kind of rehab can I do to speed up this recovery process as quick as I can?
Yeah. And even asking questions of my physio and surgeon, like even the morning after I woke up from my surgery, the surgeon came in, he was absolute legend, by the way, ultra runner. So we connected straight away.
Nice.
But I said, he was sort of asking similar questions like how are you mentally, all that sort of thing. And I was like, mate, I'm sweet. Like these next 2 weeks when I'm laying down at home, I'll just have Eden bring some dumbbells in, I'll do some bench press. He's like, yeah, just hold your horses, mate. Yeah. And he rang, little did I know, he'd rung Eden and said, don't let him do anything. He's not allowed to sweat. Right. He has to just lay there and do nothing. But like, yeah, again, my mindset was just like, well, I'm just going to do anything that I can
Yep.
to make me feel like I'm moving forward. And even asking my physio, like with the rehab, how many times a day am I allowed to do all of this rehab stuff?
Love that.
Yeah.
Now, important question here. I'm going to ask Wags, because a lot of people, a lot of guys, especially our age, but a lot of people in general, attach their identity and even to an extent self-worth around things that they can do physically. I know myself, I struggle a lot if I can't exercise the way I normally do, because my identity is I'm a personal trainer and I train hard in the gym and I'm physically fit and strong. That's my identity. I know your identity is, to a large extent, you're a runner. You're an endurance runner. You love it. And your identity is that. How hard was it having your identity impacted?
This is another great question, and it's something that I've put a lot of time thinking about in the past few weeks. So prior to doing this, the last couple of years, I actually hadn't been doing a great deal of running. And when I say hadn't been doing a great deal of running, I'm more referencing in comparison to what I'd been accustomed to for the last 8 to 10 years.
Which is several ultra runs and events, right?
Big
And like,
events,
yeah.
but also just in terms of volume. Like, you know, a few years back, 2022, I was used to doing 70Ks a week, just
for fun.
Just as that's a standard week, you know. Whereas the last couple of years, you know, 20Ks a week, 30Ks a week, which for some people is still a lot.
Wags, I don't know if I've done 70Ks this year.
Yeah. But just for some people that I'm just, obviously it's all relative,
Yes.
right? So for me, the last couple of years haven't really been, running long distance hasn't been a major priority. I've still done a couple of events here and there, but as I mentioned earlier, I had been dealing with plantar fasciitis in my right foot for some time, which was a pretty significant injury. Probably the most significant athletic injury in my legs I'd had up until I did my Achilles.
Yeah, right.
But again, like what you'd think my mindset is around identity and running after this injury, again, it's actually been the opposite. If anything, this injury has lit a fire in my belly to come back and get back to doing 60, 70Ks a week as a standard, because I just remember how I felt when I was that level of fit, that level of run fit. Like you can be fit with your strength and on the ergs and class fit, like it's a bit like yourself.
Yep.
But being run fit and being able to chuck the shoes on and go out for, 3 hours on a Sunday morning and it not even touch the sides is just like a whole new level of enjoyment and like satisfaction. And as I said, this injury has literally just lit that fire in my belly to be like, I miss running. I miss being that level of run fit.
And sometimes you don't realize what you've got or what you miss until it gets taken away from you, right?
Yeah.
Because you were able to run
Yeah.
and you were running
Yeah.
a little bit. It's probably about, from the sounds of it, about a third of what you'd done in the past.
Yeah.
So you didn't really miss it because you kind of were doing it. And then all of a sudden when it actually gets taken away from you, out of your control, then it makes you miss it.
100%.
Love that.
100%.
Now tell me, full transparency, was there any moments in those first like couple of weeks where you were throwing your hands up and saying, why me? And had a bit of a victim and mentality and a bit of a sook about it? Because that happens.
Again, like this is, I was laughing about this earlier with New, like the answer that you might be expecting is not, it's not it. Like, so to give you some context, the first 2 weeks, and this kind of surprised me actually, like the fact that the answer I'm about to give, if I think back on it, I'm like, actually, that's really positive. But the first 2 weeks post-surgery, I came home on the Thursday. So surgery was Wednesday night. Came home Thursday, lunchtime. From that day, 2 weeks, I'd literally just had to lay on the lounge with my foot elevated in a cast and just not move. Like just laying on my back all day, watching, YouTube, watching Netflix, on my laptop doing work, calling people and just like trying to keep myself entertained. There was a time at the back end of that 2 weeks where I was just like, okay, I'm ready to start moving. Like I'm actually like, I need to change up my routine a little bit. Like instead of laying down, my morning routine for the last few days became I'm going to go out the front, sit on my front deck, have my coffee and read for 2 hours before I go and lay down on the lounge again for 10 hours for the rest of the day. But mentally, yeah, I wasn't throwing my hands up saying why me, because I knew the answer to the question. Like there was signs that like it made complete sense that I ruptured that Achilles. I had some inflammation in that Achilles for the 4 weeks leading up to it. I hadn't played.
It's been 10 years since you'd done any change of direction.
Exactly what I was going to say. It had been 10 years since I played field sport where there was change of direction, acceleration, deceleration, every 30 seconds or so throughout a 50-minute game. Like it makes complete sense that this happened. So it's not a why me. It's like, you should have listened to your body and paid attention.
And I think that plays a big part in it, in your positive mindset, because there was ownership.
Yeah.
You didn't play the victim mentality of like, looking up to the stars saying, why has this happened to me?
Yeah.
You've kind of zoomed out a bit and kind of gone, you know what? Not that you had it coming or anything like that, but you kind of saw the signs leading in and you kind of go, you know what? That kind of makes sense. That's on me.
Yeah.
And potentially that's on your mate Paddy for dragging you into league tag.
Absolutely zero blame to anyone but myself.
And I think that's why you are in such a good mental state post-injury.
Yeah. And it's funny, like, I guess to reflect on why I probably didn't pay attention to the inflammation in the Achilles, like in 12 years of long distance running, like marathons, ultra marathons, trail running, all that sort of thing, I've had many times where my Achilles has been inflamed. And I've gone to physio and had it treated, and I've backed volume off, I've backed intensity off, and it's always just, sorted itself out, and I've been able to just return and continue on. But again, it's that factor of the acceleration, change of direction, field sport with boots on, uneven ground, a lot of factors that contribute to it. So it makes sense.
Now, tell me, Wags, a lot of people when they get an injury like this don't share. I was actually hoping you would have had some negative thoughts so you could be a bit more relatable, but you're not. So a lot of people do kind of go down a bit of a negative spiral, especially mentally when they get an injury like this and they go from training 5-6 days a week, eating really well, sleeping properly, staying away from alcohol, and have an injury like this and bang, throw their hands up in the air and say, F it, I'm off this. And yes, the training's impacted, but for a lot of people, everything else gets thrown out the window too. Why do you think a lot of people do have that negative spiral?
Well, to be a bit more relatable, my mindset was kind of down that path when I had my plantar fasciitis. And that was just like this nagging thing that just would not go away. And it was, if I compare the two, it's almost like, well, I'd probably rather have the Achilles rupture because I know now I've had surgery and it's fixed. The plantar fasciitis, I tried everything, and it's more just you just got to wait for a lot of it, don't you? Man, like I tried not doing any running, but again, I'm on my feet all day with my job. I tried rolling on trigger point balls and frozen water bottles, and I tried doing toe scrunches, and I tried so many different things that it just would not get better. And when I finally got to a point where I thought it was better and I tried to start running again, it would inflame it and make it 10 times worse. And I had it for a year and a half. And it was at a point where I was like, I think I'm going to have to go and get surgery on this because it was honestly doing my head in. So the uncertainty was the big part there. Yeah, 100%. And I think to answer your question, why people spiral with injury, I think uncertainty is probably the key to understand why people go like that. And then what I mentioned earlier is looking at what you can do and creating a path of progression where you actually have milestones to work towards and having purpose in your recovery. So trying to have something to work towards or a goal, something to aim for, I think that makes a massive difference in how your mentality is when trying to recover from an injury. Purpose is huge, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I can definitely relate to that part whenever I've had injuries, and believe it or not, D-Wags, I've had a few in my time, is that I'll go and see my physio. Shout out to Douglas Brantman, Flow Physio, in my opinion, best physio on the planet, and I've seen a few. Nice, is he will give me, without fail, regardless of what injury I've had, he will give me exercises that I am to do and will often test them in the physio
clinic, and then it's like, all right, I want you to improve on these. I get the feeling he knows me well enough to know that if I've got something that I can physically do to help my injury, then I'm going to be locked in and will actually be able to do it. Like you said, the worst part is when you just got to sit back and do nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I actually can't drive the needle forward myself. So having milestones to hit, like strength things to gain, like, you know, a shit thing like a single leg calf raise, which I've never done when I'm returning from an Achilles or a calf tear, is really difficult to do. And it's not something that you'd ever really think about doing in a gym unless you've got a rehab. Yeah. So I was heaps bad at it at the start. And then it's like, you've got a 20 kilo dumbbell on your knee and you do 10 reps. All right, next 2 days later, I'm doing 15 reps. Can't wait. And then you can actually see that progression. So that's huge. Now tell me onto the mental side of things, Wags. When you had that 2 weeks, I was really sure to contact you every couple of days and check in and come around and deliver lunch and sit there and just chew the fat with you for half an hour. Just because even though I knew you were in a pretty good spot mentally, I was just wary, like having someone that has been taken out of their normal scheduled routine, taken all exercise away. You can only sit on your ass and dwell on the fact that you're injured and you're not able to run or exercise or anything like that. Mentally, that can be really challenging. How big was like your social network in terms of helping you through those initial periods?
Yeah, huge. And I think to elaborate on that, and again, just around, giving myself purpose. I at the start of this year, sorry, actually I did it last year, but I sort of solidified at the start of this year. Every day I have 10 daily habits that I try and tick off. And one of them is connect with someone that I care about. So for me, that had already been a habit that I was making conscious effort every single day to make a phone call or to meet with someone face to face, and not like obviously in a work setting, like I care about you guys and I see you guys every day, but that's incidental. Like I'm obviously going to do that. It was like a conscious effort to, call Chapo, call Camilo, speak to a family member, call my grandparents, like something like that every single day had already been a habit that had been ingrained in my everyday life prior to doing this injury. So I continued doing that. And I think that made a huge difference because, as you said, like you'd come around, bring me lunch and sit there and, chat with me for an hour on the front deck. And, I was having conversations on the phone with friends and my family. And so like that connection piece was just like made the world of difference.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're touching on quite a few things here, Wags. Geez, you're giving some gold at the moment in this podcast. Some listeners out here, if they have gone through an injury or are going through one right now, they're going to take a lot from this. So first thing that I tipped off at the very start here was your mindset around not what can I not do, but physically what can I do, which kind of leads into you having a bit of purpose and something that you can attack and achieve. I feel another good point that you've made here is around your ownership. Instead of playing the blame game or being a victim, is looking back and going, I've got no one to blame but me for this.
Yeah.
And the third thing that you just touched on there was social connection, which kind of, as we learnt really well through COVID, how important that is for us just as human beings. Is there anything else that helped in terms of like your routine in that first 2 or 3 weeks that you could kind of give some tips on?
Yeah, so I definitely had to change some of those habits, those daily habits, in that first 2 weeks, because a lot of them revolved around, physical training, how many steps a day I was getting in. So changing those habits, and another thing that I try and do daily is a meditation of some sort. And then adding in just some breathing exercises. Like, again, I think it's like more than just the routine piece. It almost doesn't matter what it is, but I think it's like, if you have a routine, it just makes everything seem like so much better. So like the first few days when I was waking up at whatever time I was getting up, because I was on these heavy ass painkillers.
No alarm needed. And I was waking up and feeling a bit groggy because like every 4 hours I had to take these painkillers to navigate and manage how my Achilles was feeling.
So it kind of threw me those first few days. But once I sort of got back into a bit of like, okay, cool, I need to have a morning routine.
Yep.
I need to have something, a system that I follow where I know that when I get up, I'm making coffee and then I'm sitting on the deck and then I'm reading my book and then I'm doing my meditation and then I'm doing my breathing exercises. And then I can go in and attack the work tasks that I have to do. And then I could go and sit and watch TV.
Yep.
So it was like, again, just creating a system around routine and habit that made me feel like I was still working towards something and still had some purpose.
Love that. Love that. Now, moving forward into, we're probably not there with this specific injury, but you have been there before in terms of plantar fasciitis and previous injuries you've had. Talk to me about the mentality of returning to training and say not being able to run as far or as fast as you could, and the hit that takes to the ego, again, of someone with an identity of someone being fit or being a runner.
Yeah.
How hard's that to manage?
Well, going back to what we said earlier about uncertainty, I think the thing that probably worries me the most and where maybe my mentality and mindset is a little bit shaky is thinking about what if. So what if I do it again? Or what if I favor my right side and do something with my right Achilles? What if I can't get back to the fitness that I was accustomed to, in 2022? So it's like the uncertainty and the what ifs around my future. But again, if I'm just trying to bring it back to right now and keep the mindset of, well, we'll just control what you can control right now. And all I can control is, am I doing my rehab the amount of times a day that I'm supposed to be doing it? Am I doing my upper body strength work? Am I doing the conditioning that I'm allowed to do on the ski erg? Like, just control that sort of stuff. And then the future will take care of itself as long as you just trust the people that are guiding you, listen to the physio, listen to the surgeon, and trust that they're going to get you back to where you want to go.
Focus on what you can control.
Love that. Yeah.
Now, being a naturally competitive guy, how hard is it, and has this taught you patience? So being patient, how hard is that for you right now? Or you know what? Probably not right now with this injury, but let's say when you got the boot off in a couple of months, what's going to be the difficult part about being patient there?
I can see myself being frustrated with flexibility or mobility and leg strength. I actually said this to the surgeon and my physio within the first 2 weeks, or at my 2-week checkup. I love squatting, and
you do it really well too.
And being in this position. So right now, just to give context, so when you get Achilles surgery, they set you up in a boot with your heel elevated and your foot pointing down to keep the Achilles shortened in a shortened position to protect it from lengthening too early. And they're trying to create that elastic tension in the Achilles so that when you are starting to return, you don't have a lack of power. So some people who do their Achilles and return too early to doing the things that they want to do, they lose that elastic tension in their Achilles.
Doesn't snap back like it normally
does.
So
pushing off the ball of your feet becomes really difficult, and they don't get that lose the ability to get back to where they wanted to get to. Being in this boot right now, I can see myself when it comes off getting frustrated with the lack of range that I have in dorsiflexion. So where the toes are coming up towards your shin, which is the position that you get to in the bottom range of a squat. So getting back to doing the things I love to do, I think I really have to remind myself to be patient and that this is a 12-month injury.
Yeah.
Initially, I was thinking to myself 9 months because I'd watched heaps of YouTube clips about Kobe Bryant and Kevin Durant and these elite athletes who get back to playing high-level NBA.
That have got 10 medical staff just for them.
Every day.
Yeah.
They get massage and treatment and all the most elite service to get them back on the floor. But just thinking to myself, this is a 12-month injury.
Yeah, and accepting that.
Accepting it, yeah.
Well, we've only got about 4 minutes left, so I'm going to ask a couple of questions towards the end here. What would you say to someone currently injured and struggling mentally?
Pivot. let's try and pivot the mindset to, again, what can you do? So depending on what injury it is, I think back, I had a shoulder reconstruction when I was in my mid-teens, and I went to the gym and all I did was legs 3 days a week. So it was like supported leg stuff, leg press, supported calf raise, leg extension. It's like, I know it's frustrating that you can't do the things that you want to do, but if you have the mindset of acceptance, like, okay, I accept that this is my reality right now, let's pivot and work out what I can do, and let's create a plan where I feel like I can dive headfirst into what I can do and give my all to that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tell me, what are you grateful for now that you weren't before?
Oh, that last bit of that question changed the answer, because my first thought was Eden, but I'm always grateful for her.
Oh, great response.
I hope she listens to this too. I don't know if she'll get this deep in this podcast, but
I'll send it to her with
Yeah.
the timestamp. Yeah.
Nick, can you chop that little clip up, bro? I'll send it to
Just
her.
a one-on-one.
What am I grateful for now that I wasn't grateful? Oh, I'm grateful for the ability to move. Grateful for I'm grateful for running. Grateful for running, and it's
Just
again,
wild, because it's something you can't do right now.
Yeah, but it's not that I guess it's not that I wasn't grateful for it before, but I think I just lost sight of how much I loved it.
Yeah, that's
and then
cool.
how much it gave me as a sport, and everything that it's given me in the past 10 to 12 years, but probably more so in the last 7 or 8 years.
That's great.
But yeah, very grateful for that.
All right, last question I've got for you. What's the dumbest piece of advice in terms of rehab someone has given you in the last month? Surely there was some.
Dumbest piece of advice.
We do have some idiots in and around us, don't we?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. It was probably just some tongue-in-cheek, like, advice about maxing out your bench press every day, or something along those lines. But
I think I gave that advice to you, mates. I didn't think that was going to be slapped back in my face.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Like, there hasn't been a whole heap of dumb advice. It's probably more people just pitying me, to be honest, which I don't need. But yeah, no real dumb advice.
Well, actually, how about the advice last night when you messaged me saying, "Hey, Paddy, what time are you getting to the gym in the morning? Because I might need a lift."
Oh, yeah.
and I said, "Mate, I'd love to take you, but I'm training early, so I'll be driving past about 3:15.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a response for about the next 3 hours.
To be honest, I actually wanted to. I said to Eden, I said, can I go with Paddy at early? But Eden only got back from a flight from Queensland at like 9 p.m.
Yeah,
She'd been working all day. She flew up yesterday morning, flew home last night. And it is difficult for me to get around on crutches at the moment.
Yeah.
With all my gear. Like, she would have had to get up at 3:15, put my bag on, help me out the door, help me down the stairs to get into your car.
So what you're saying is you chose Eden over me.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Safe bet, D-Wags. No offense taken. All right. Now, I just want to finish off, guys, with a bit of a closing message. Injuries don't just test your body. They test your discipline, identity, patience, and mindset. Here's the big one. Anyone can stay positive when life is easy. The real challenge is staying positive and consistent when life forces you to adapt. So remember, guys, if you suffer a major injury, or you know someone that does, it's not all over. Don't throw the toys out of the cot or throw your hands up in the air. D-Wags has given us some real good positive tools and strategies and mindsets to adapt to and to accept when you are going through something like this. So if you know somebody, guys, who has just had a major injury or is going through it right now, do us a favor and send them this, whether it's on YouTube or just the podcast, as I think they'll be able to get a lot out of it.
Yeah, and I'd just like to just add one more thing in, like with injury, if you are able to zoom out and see injury as an opportunity to become better, I think you'll go a long way in actually enjoying and getting something out of the rehab process. So for me, this is now an opportunity. I'm going to become the best
bench presser on the planet.
Well, I was actually more going to say, like, I look at my physio, I'm going to be the best rehab client that you have.
Yes.
You're going to tell me to do X, Y, Z, and I'm going to do X, Y, Z exactly as you told me, because I trust you.
Star student.
Yeah, star student, right? It's just an opportunity to be the best rehab student I can possibly be. So
I love that. Well, D-Wags, thank you for joining us and imparting a lot of wisdom onto our listeners. I'm sure they're going to get a lot out of it.
Always a pleasure, Paddy.
Until next time, guys, have a great day.
Peace.